Today's daf is Maseches Nedarim, Daf Lamid Vav. So we are over here, the first line, the first word, top of the Amid, Masiv Rav Simi Bar Abba. So the Gemara is going back. It's going to be discussing this that we said in Lamed Hey Beis. The shaila that we had before, are Kaihanim, when they bring a carbon in the Beis HaMikdash, are they Shluchei Didan, or are they Shluchei messengers of the Bailam that's bringing the carbon, or are they Shluchei Deshmaya? Are they Shluchei Hashem? So the Gemara is going to ask on the tzad that they're Shluchei Didan. Fact the Gemara, Masar Rav Simi Bar Abba. Ask Rav Simi Bar Abba. The Brisa says, Im Haya Kayin Yizrak Alav Dam Chatase V'Dam Hashamai. The Brisa says, if a Madi made a nether against a Moider, that's the guy who the nether was made against, he said he's not allowed to have enough for the Madir, and then he has to bring a carbon for him. So the Brisa says, if the Madir is a Kayin, he could be Zarik on him, the Dam Chatas, the blood of the Chatas, and the Dam of the Asham. So the Gemara is assuming l'chayra this heter is by all chatais and all hashamis. So the shaila is l'chayra, how could the kayin do it if the mother is a kayin? L'chayra is giving him ana. If you say shluchei didan, he's giving him shlichus. How the bride said he's allowed to spritz his blood on him, on the moider. And for the Gemara, dam chatasi shal matzar, dam hashem shal matzar. No, this is what it says. Dam chatas dam hashem. It doesn't mean any dam chatas dam hashem. It means specifically dam chatas of a matzar and dam asham of a matzar, which are karbanos and a mechusah kapara. And you do not need to have das bailam. You don't need to have das bailam on that. So the Gemara, how do you know? Because it says the chsiv in Vayikra Parak Yodal Pasuk Beis Zoistia Teres Tamatzara. And we learn that from the word Teras, means Sai Mitzara Gadol, Sai Mitzara Katan. A chayav to bring a carbon. And since the Katan does not have das to bring a carbon, Avada the tzivu is that people should bring for him. So you see from that people bring a carbon. You went out there. You could bring you could bring the carbon for Mitzara even without the knowledge, because you see you could bring it for a katan. As muchach that you do not have to have das bailam. However, by other karbonos that you need to have das bailam, it's yitachin that maybe the kahanim cannot bring it, and the madir of his kain cannot do it for the moider. And why? Because of shluchei didan. So you don't have a raya. It could be shluchei didan. Fracting our Avaita. Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah in Gittin, Daf Handal on the base. HaKayhanim shepiklu b'mikdash. Kayhanim, that they were makar of a carbon in doing pigol in the base of Mikdash. Had the makar of a carbon, and they had in mind, they had a machshava when they were makar of the carbon, they're going to eat it, or they're going to makar shaloi bizmani, and not in the correct time, bizman, the terrorist has to bring it. And like that, they pass on the carbon. So mezidin, chayavin, if they did it purposely, they knew that they're going to pass all the carbon doing that, and they're chayav to pay the owners the value of the carbon because it was their fault, and that's why they have to. They're mechayav the guy to bring another carbon, so you got to pay him out. They got to reimburse him. So the Gemara ha-shaygin. The Gemara is a daik, but if they're shaygin, and they did not know that the carbon is in some machshava, in such a type of machshava. A pigol machshava shleim zmanai. Then the halacha is patur, and the patur to pay the value of the carbon. Elisha pigul and pigol. So if it's done b'shoygig, they're patur to reimburse the bailam, to pay the damages. However, the pigol is pigol because their machshava passes the carbon. So it's mashal the whole chilik between mezid and shoygig in such a scenario is only the guy with the chiyuv tashlum. But both of them are carbons going to be apostle. So Zak Gemara, if you say that the Kehanim, when they're doing their avodah they bring carbon a shluchei d'shmaya, have a shluchei Hashem, haynu shepigul and pigul. That's what you say. The difference of showing and mezid. That's the reason by besides showing and mezid is both of them are pigul because the Torah made the Kehanim shluchim for everything, and even in this case where there's a pigol, Sai Shaying Sai Mezid. That's Hashem gave a Torah, and that's what Hashem decided. And the Shluchim Shmaya, Aliyam Shluchim don't have or my pigol and pigol. If you say that the Kahanim are Shluchim of the Bailam, how come by Shaygol shoygig, it's pigol, lay, let the Baal Korban tell the Kohen, I made you a shliach, but I made you a shliach to fix things, not to mess things up. So if you were a shoygig, maybe the fact that maybe the Kohen is a shoygig, the pigol should not be chal, because you could tell him, I didn't make you a shliach to do that, to mess up my korban and make a puzzle. And for the fact that you see, Zakti Gemara, that the Kohen couldn't mefagel korban is muchach, that the Kehanim are nechshav shluchos Shmaya, and that's why it's always chal the pigol. And they were also sent on their mission to be shluchim, even in the case where it's pigol, and that's why the pigol is chal. So the Gemara, Amri, I could say, even if the shluchim is done, the pigol will be chal. Why? Because shani got a pigol, it's different than a pigol. The Amakra, the pasuk says in Vayikra Perak Zayin pasuk Yiches, lo yichashiv lo pigol yiyeh mikol malkei. It says lo yichashiv lo in Perak Zayin pasuk Yud Ches. It says me'achol ya'achol m'bsar zevach shlomim. If you eat b'sar zevach shlomim, by yom hashlishi lo yiratza makra v'isay lo yichashiv lo pigol yiyeh. Should be pigol. So the Torah is telling you, in every case, that if a kohen thinks a machshava of pigol, it's going to be possible chaloifin, even though the kohen's not the Baal Korban. So Mela, it's talking that there could be shluchut done, and Kol Makoim, still, the Torah gave the kohen, he has his own power to mefagel a korban. Zok the Gemara. The Gemara is going to discuss this Rabbi Yochanan said before, Laman Hema Beis. Gufa, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Hakoil Tzrichen Das. All karbanos need to have the knowledge of the Baalim in order to makar them for the Baalim. Chutz, Mimachus HaKapara. Besides for a carbon that you're bringing, what the whole carbon's oif to is giving the owner a kapara. Shaharei, what's the raya? Shaharei, maybe carbon on bottom of Katanim, because you see, someone could bring a carbon even on bottom of Katanim, even though they don't have any das. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan saying, that you could always be mak of a carbon for, and you always need to have das by them, besides for karbonis of Mechusar Kapara. So for Gemara, Mlei'ata, Elame'ata, that you learn out, meaning, Rabbi Yochanan, where does Rabbi Yochanan know this? That what is that Mechusar Kapara you could bring without his das, because he learns out because see by a person could bring a carbon for his bottom of benoisa even though they don't have das. So mainly you see the Mechusar Kapara, you could do it also without das. So the Gemara is assuming that that's considered efsher mishi efsher, meaning if you're bringing a carbon for a gadol, then technically the gadol could have his own das, and so that's called efsher. But if you're bringing a carbon from bottom of aktanim, in that case it's efsher. The kids can't bring it; they're not bringing das. So the Gemara mati adam chatas chelev. A person should bring. So me'ata, if you can tell me that Taki learn out efsher mishi efsher, like more just saying Rabbi Yochanan, yavi adam chatas chelev. A person should bring a carbon chatas that comes on an iser loisa say al chaveroi. You should bring a forced French midas. Shken adam maybe al ishtoi shaita, because somebody brings for his wife, that's a shaita karbanis. Kirib Yehuda, like Yehuda says, that a person brings karbanis for his wife, and for the fact that we see so the Gemara is bringing Rabbi Yehuda to show the case of efsher, because a person bringing a carbon for his wife is ishtay shaita, l'chara she's efsher, she's a shaita. So the Gemara learn out the chatas chelev. If you bring a carbon chatas on your friend for iser, it's a loisa say. If you bring it without your friend's knowledge, in that case it's efsher. So learn out from efsher the case of Yehuda says it works by ishtay shaita. Alama Amar Rabbi Elazar. Why does Rabbi Elazar say Hifish Chatzis Chilav Achaver L'Asol Klum? Rabbi Elazar says if Mafish Chatzis Chilav on your friend, unless you say it's not anything. L'Chayra. Pshat is he's saying you don't learn out Malkum She'efsher from Malkum She'efsher, which is Ishtay Shaita. And so for the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan just said before that you do learn out Efsher Mishi Efsher, and for the Gemara that so the Gemara is saying that so the Gemara that's like this: that Ishtay Shaita, this is what he's bringing. What's he bringing a carbon for? If she ate chaylev when she was a Shaita, the chaylev is not a bas carbon, so there's no one to bring carbon, no reason to bring carbon. If she ate it when she was normal and then she became a Shaita, even in that case, it's because Yehuda Ravo says that chaylev v'hifresh carbon and nishtata, and then he gets back to being normal, it's possible, and you say, oh, v'nitchi yitcha, there's no more carbon, no more chiv carbon anymore. So the Gemara is saying that Muzzayin, that even in Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara thought as a mashmois that pshat is you would learn out just like a shaita you could bring without a knowledge. So to a karmachatas chelav achaver you could also bring. But the Gemara no, it's not much b'chlal. This Rabbi Yehuda is saying shaita is talking about specifically karbanis. For ledes, zav, and mitzaras, which do not have to have any knowledge. So, although the Gemara finished saying before that Rabbi Yochanan says done efsher mashi'i efsher, but there's still no makar lamaisa that you could bring a kar mechata savur for another person because Yehuda says you could bring a carbon is not talking about a carbon chatas. He's just talking about the karbanos violetas, which do not have to have anybody else's knowledge. Elamayat, affecting Gemara, that Rabbi Yochanan says, now the Gemara is going to ask back to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan is saying you can learn out efsher mishi'i efsher, legabe, learning out, that you can makriv, karbanos chus kapara for a person without them knowing. You learn it out from Adam maybe Karmel Banom Nesaktanim. So for the Gemara, Yavi Adam Pesach al Chaver, a person should bring a carbon Pesach for his friend. Can Adam maybe al Banom Nesaktanim, because you also see that a person brings a carbon Pesach for his kids that don't have any das. Alama Loza, why does Loza say Hifish Pesach al Chaver loss of Lekov? How come Loza says if you mafish carbon Pesach for a third person, it's nothing. Zak Gemara remember Zero. Because it says Sela base Avoy, Sela boyis. It says in Parashas Boy Shemois Parak base Pasuk Gimel. So it says Sela base Avoy, Sela bias. So it says only the Gabi Gedolim that have das to be an isman on a carbon. However, the Gabi Katanim that do not have any das, they do not have this din of Karm Pesach, and you do not have to have minus. So the whole din, there's a din you have to minu for Karm Pesach, like the Gemara, and the din minu is only on Gedolim, which is clearly you learned it out from the pasuk, and not on Gatanim. So Mela, there's no makar b'chlal that you can be mismad someone at Karm Pesach without the knowledge. And how do you know taka this halacha that a katan does not have minui b'karim pesach? But now you learn a mishnah b'sach b'tesam aleph. Ha'imur levonav. Somebody tells his kids when he goes up to Yerushalayim, Harei nishechas apesach hamisha yalam ikam Yerushalayim. Abshechas pesach on the one that arrives here first. So the halacha is kem v'shehichnis Rishayin Roishay V'Rubai. Since the first person sticks his head and rove his body in Yerushalayim, Zacha B'Chalke Zacha the carbon, Umezaka is Echav Imain. Is Mezaka his brothers with him on the carbon? So the Gemara's understanding who's he Zaycha, even if his brothers come arrive Yerushalayim after the Shechita the carbon, he's Mezaka them. The Gemara V'i Amre that then Minu and Pesach is learned from Selabayis Doiraisa. L'chayr it's midayraisa. So if you say that the din of Minu Pesach is learned up from Salabayis is Dairaisa, so the Chayal Bisr Koyim Mazakalahu. So then the Chayra, the father, is the Chayra, this other brother that's arriving and is getting a part of this Chosm of Pesach. How is he being Zoich in it? The Chayra. So the Chayra, how's this kid being Mazaka's brother? The Chayra, it's after the Shechita already when his brother shows up. So Vad Gemara must be Pshat is that it's Banim Katanim we're talking about, and Lagabei him is Taka no Chiv Mino on the Korban Pesach for that. So it's a raya that the Katanim is no Chiv Mino Korban Pesach. So the Gemara Ella Lamal Huda Amaloin Avoin. So if it's Taka the case that says no Chiv Mino B'Chlam Banim Katanim, then why did the father tell them that they shechting Korban Pesach only on the first one that's coming to Yerushalayim? It's mashma that there's a chiv to do mini on them, even though they're ketanim. He didn't have to do anything. There's no chiv mini. Everything Gemara kedil zaras mitzvahs. It's only trying to push them zaras mitzvahs to go up to Yerushalayim. But be'emes they're not taking no chiv mini at all. Tainen amahachi. Gemara is going to bring a raya that the whole agenda of the father was only the ziris ba'alma and not a chiv mini. Maisa hayiv kadam banis labanim was a Maisa, and the banis got there quicker before the sons, and they went up to Yerushalayim. And into banis rizis, come to the banis rizis, the banim shvalim, and the banim were weaker. And for the fact that it didn't say the Brisa didn't say that the banis was zach or the banim was zach, it didn't say that. It just says that it was rizis and they were shvalim. It's muchach. The whole idea, the whole intent of the fall was only it should be zeicha in carbon. Well, it wasn't that it should be zeicha in the carbon because they had to be zeicha even without meaning. The whole idea was only the zaras of mitzvahs. Period. Zok the Gemara. The Mishnah said, when someone's moida anam mechaveroi and he separates the truma, then if someone's moida anam mechaveroi, then he's allowed to separate his truma and ma'asos. Zok the Gemara. I boilahu. Gemara is clear. Hatoirim shaloy al shachaver. Somebody separates from his fruit onto his friend's fruit. Tzarach daitoi doesn't need to have his friend's knowledge that he's being a shliach of him. Or does he not have to have his friend's knowledge? Mi amrina. What's a shayla? What did study asafik? Mi amrina came in the schus huloi. Do we say that since the schus with all payers that he's been misaking his payers free of charge, lo tzarach das. So mainly you don't have to have his knowledge because zachalanam shalei b'fanav. Al zachalanam shalei b'fanav. A guy could do a shlichus for his friend, which is a schus for him, and even though he's not mamanim to be a shlich, prefers to be a shlich. Oidoma, do we say no? It's not a schus for him. Why? Because mitzvah dilehi, because this mitzvah of Rosh Shumas Meisers belongs to his friend, and his friend wants to do it for himself. So we don't just have automatic rishus to do it. So that's a Gemara Shiloh. If somebody's Torah Trumas Ma'asos al Shechaveri, does he have to have his friend's knowledge or does he not? Zatim, I'll bring you a raya that you could be term on behalf of your friend Shlomo the Tashma. The Mishnah says the halacha is term that he could do it for the moeder. L'daita, the Mishnah says clearly he could do it. So the Mishnah says he could do it l'daita. Now Zakti Gemara, b'maya skin. What's it talking about? Ilema, it's talking about an oifin where the madir separates the truma or the meiser from the pairs of the balakri on the pairs of the balakri. So the chayra. So again, clearly, the Gemara is trying to figure out, like when the Mishnah says you can mafresh trumas ma'aser l'daita, what are we talking about? So ilema balakri al shabal akri. He's being mafresh. He's separating from Paris of the Baal Hakri, the owner of the pile fruit on the other Baal Hakri. So I was what is Ladait in the man? Elim Ladait Lay who told me his own das. He was a Baal Hakri, the mafresh. Man Shav Yishliach. Who made him shliach to do it? So Ella. About the Mishnah means Ladait the Baal Hakri. It doesn't mean the mafresh is das. It means the das of the Baal Hakri. So the moider made him a shliach for this afrasha. So Ibizai. How could the moider do that? He asked himself from having enough from the madir. He's having enough because he's doing a shlichus for him. So how's it possible? Why is that mutter? So the Gemara that no, it's not the case. It's not the case like we were just saying till now that the madir is mafresh from his own Paris onto the balakri, which is a moider. Ella. Rather, the Mishnah is talking about in a case where the mafresh is separating Trumas Amaisis from his Paris onto the Paris of the balakri. So Meli can learn the Mishnah like this: Ladaitoi deman, Ladait deman. So who's that going on when it says Ladaitoi? Elam Ladait the balakri. If it's the das of the balakri that made him a shliach, so Ibazoi Kamahani Lecher, he's being Mekayim a shlichus. He's giving him no Elalav Term al Shachaveroi. Elalav. The Mishnah means that the madir is mafresh Ladait nafshe. Ladait doesn't mean the das the balakri the moider. It means Ladait nafshe, his own das. Umishaloi term al shachaver, you be turned from his unto his friends. V'yamr tzarach das. And if you say that if you turn from yours onto your friends, you need to have your friend's das. And then Mela, it's talking about your friend made you a shliach. So in this case, the moider made him a shliach. The chur kamahani levaiters, he's giving him an elalab. No, ain't tzarach das. Taretz is must be that you do not need das chaver to be termed Trumas Amaisus. So, come tell you to bring a raya to Gemara's Shaila on the top. If you're termed Trumas Amaisus for your friend, do you need his knowledge or not? So bring a raya right here, comes out from the Mishnah, Ein Tzarach Das. And therefore, the Madir, you see the Mishnah, the Madir is allowed to mafresh Truma from his own Truma Amaisus onto the Maiders. And then it can only make sense if you don't need his das. So that's what you see. You don't need his das. So the Gemara, no. La'ilam, I'll tell you, the Mishnah is talking about in the case where his mafresh Mishal Baal Hakri onto the Baal Hakri. He's doing it all for Baal Hakri. It's not from one pile to another pile, taking truma on the Maider. And even though he's making clearly a shliach, specifically the Maider is making the Maider shliach to do that, and he's having enough from the shlichus. But over here, it's talking about where he did not make him shlich. Kadaba Rava. Why? What's the case? Rava says, but when the Bala Paris says, and which in this case in the Maider, he says, whoever he says, just makes a blanket statement before, and he says, whoever wants to, I'm not being man anybody specifically, but whoever wants to come and take Truma, I give everyone Rishos. So Hachanami say, and therefore, the Madir is allowed to do it on his behalf because he made an announcement before that anybody's allowed to do it. And there's no hana to the Baal Paris because he's not being Mekayim Shlichus for the Baal Paris. Because the Baal Paris told anybody to do it. So anybody was allowed to come along and do it, and it wasn't specifically hana from any person, from any individual person. Zak the Gemara. Now the Gemara is going to have another shail over here when somebody's mafresh truma from his Paris onto his friend's Paris. If somebody takes truma from his onto his friend, Toivas hana shall me. So who is zoicha in the nesina of the truma, and who gets the Toivas hana that comes along with it? So the Toivas hana is a hana that you get from the fact that he has to give truma to a certain person. So me, Amrin, do you say that the one that being mafresh is zeicha in the Tevis Hana, the ilav perich, because the ilav perich peirei the haich mim takna kari dahu. Because l'chayr without the paris of the mafresh, the kri would not be fixed. So it's his. The Tevis Hana belongs to him. Idilma means he could choose who it goes to. Idilma, or do you say that then no, the Baal Kri is Zeichel in Nesina? Why? The lav, because the lav carried dahu, if not for his Kri, his pile, they have a pair in the Hadin Truma. The whole entire payers would not be Truma. And the Mafresh wouldn't even be able to be Mechel Trua on his payers Truma. So Ibizoi, he's Zeichel in Nesina, that the Nesina of the Tevis Hana, that he gets rights to who it goes to, that would go to the Baal Kri. Amar Leir, Bzera told him. Can you place it from a pasuk? Amar Kral pasuk says in Dvarim Yidal pasuk Chafez, Aser ta Aser es eis kol tefu asarecha. And then afterwards it says V'nasata kesef. So we could darshan and to the sin is tali in the Baal Kri, which is the Baal Hazara, which we just said in the pasuk before that Aser ta Aser kol tefu asarecha, and he's the one that's V'nasata. So Medayik is saying from the pasuk, you see that Tevis Hana belongs to him also. We learned in the Mishnah, Lamed Hemim Beis, that a madir that is terim trumosav masroisav ladaitoi, and the Gemara held that his mafresh Paris from his own Paris and misaken the Paris of the moider. So Zok the Gemara v'i amrit toivas hana, and if you want to say that in this specific case, the Tevis Hana belongs to the Baal Kri, which is a moider. Sahakamahani le lechayra. The madir is giving hana to the moider, which is Baal Kri. He's getting the Tevis Hana, and he has a schus on the Nesina over here on the Tevis Hana Shabbat. So like the Gemara, Shmami, no, you see the Mishnah Tevis Hana delay Muzayin. No, Tevis Hana doesn't go to Baal Kri, which in this case would be the moider. It goes to the mafresh, which in this case is the madir. And since the moed is not getting hana, and not like Reb Zera, it says the Tevis Hana belongs to the Baal Kri. So the Gemara is coming out. Yeah, l'char you see, not like Reb Zera just said before that the Tevis Hana goes to the Baal Kri. See over here from this halacha in the Mishnah, it would seem that you would have to say it only makes sense that Tevis Hana belongs to the mafresh. So the Gemara Amiloi. It's talking about that the madir is mafresh mishaloy al shabal Kri. It's not talking about that. I'm sorry. I'm reloy. It's not the case that he's being mafresh from. So he's changing the whole case in the Mishnah. Rather, what's it talking about? Mishal Baal Kri al Shabal Kri. This guy, the madir, is being mafresh from the Baal Kri onto the Baal Kri. Uludait the Baal Kri, and everything's for the Das Baal Kri. So he's doing a shlichus for him. So the Gemara, no, but it's talking about a case where he said, like Gemara said, he came to before. He said, whoever wants to do it, come do it. So since he didn't make him a shliach specifically, he's not getting hana from the shlichus because he didn't make anybody specifically a shliach to do it. He didn't request it. He just said, whoever wants to do it, can do it. Tashama, Gemara is going to try to bring another raya as to who does the Tevis Hana, but in this case belongs to the mafresh or to the Baal Kri. The Gemara Tashma, the Amar Rava Rabbi Yechanan said, Rava Rabbi Yechanan said, there is, just want to make a little akdam to today's halachas. There is 3 halachas lagabi afrashas carbon or truma, doing it for your friend, another person. One is a carbon that a mum fell on it, and you have to redeem it. The halacha is that if a bailam itself is paid it, he has to be ma'asav chaimish. But if somebody else is paid it, then he's not ma'asav chaimish. Only if you're the bailam, you're ma'asav chaimish. And if a person is makdish a behema for his friend's chiyuv and it gets a mum, the halacha is that the machshiv is considered the bailam, legabi he's ma'asav chaimish when he redeems it. But the one that was mafresh, but if the one that's makdish is paided, then he's ma'asav chaimish. But if the one that is mafresh, or the one that's was mafresh, the carbon, he's doing the pinion, then he's not Moshe Chaimish. Okay, there's another halacha. A carbon that the Bailim swaps it out for another carbon. The halacha is that it's not chal, it's swap. Unless, and rather, what do you say? You say both that I'm makachim. Okay. And the halacha is v'mischaper. The person that they're mafresh the carbon for, he's considered a bailim. Legabi that, so very simple. We're trying to bring a riot to who gets the tevis and the Torah or mafresh. So we're saying that it says very clear. Rav Yochanan says a makdish. If you're a makdish, and you're the one that's being paid, you might say chaimish. The mischaper and the person that's getting the kapara, he's nechshav the bailam legabi is oisa tamura. He can make a tamura if he's the one getting the kapara. However, if the makdish tries to make a tamura, it's nothing. It's not chal. The hatayrim zakta bavara Rabbi Yechanan. Person that's Torah shalei al sheina shalei, it's not his. The Torah sana shalei, so it belongs to the Torah and not the Baal Kri. Not like the Gemara just said, or Zera, that it's Baal Kri. Rather, you see over here that it's the Torah.